on May the 30th, 2022. Guys, we are almost at the June 1st beginning of the official hurricane season. Now, we know, I think for 7 years now, there's been some tropical development in May. We saw that about a week ago. But what we're seeing here is, in the bottom left corner, is Hurricane Agatha. It may be remnants of now because it's starting to come ashore. Now, normally these hurricanes that form in the Pacific go a little more west, and you'll see them go up the coastline or veer over later in the season toward Hawaii. And again, what we're seeing is this rotation is Agatha. It's moving ashore. It's already starting to build moisture and pressure into the Gulf of Mexico itself. The other thing, if you notice, is that the wind shear that pushed it ashore is turning this way. Okay, that's important, right over somewhere in this area, I'd say between South Florida and Central Florida, is where it's going to send the energy, and we're going to look at some models. Okay, let me turn that off. Here's maybe remnants now of Agatha. Again, the Yucatan and parts of Mexico, you're going to get extra rain, so watch out in the mountainous areas, flash flooding, some high winds, things like that. Now, the 2-day forecast from the National Hurricane Center is saying no development, but if you click, and that's what we're going to do, look at the 5-day forecast, the remnants of this redevelop here, and it moves over the central part of Florida. Now, guys, this came out just a few minutes ago. It says current disturbances and 5-day formation chance. Notice at the top, I have the 5-day forecast pulled up. It's important to look at both. You can click it at the bottom. It says view the 2-day outlook. And I do that first. And if I see nothing, I know from years of doing this to check your 5-day, especially when you have some type of system developing very close to the Gulf of Mexico or anywhere in the Caribbean. This is what they're showing us. As of 2 p.m. today, it's a 40% chance of cyclone formation within 5 days. Near the Yucatan, a large and complex area of low pressure is expected to develop near the Yucatan and the northwestern Caribbean. In a few days, partially related to the remnants of Hurricane Agatha from the eastern Pacific, this system is forecast to move slowly eastward or northeastward, and gradual development is possible by the latter part of this week. Regardless of development, locally heavy rainfall is likely across portions of southern Mexico, the Yucatan, Guatemala, and Belize through this week. So you guys down there, you know how you can get these heavy rains and floods and mudslides, so be very careful. And notice that the western tip of Cuba could be involved in this. Now, for many years, you guys have seen these models on the hurricane videos that we do. And what we're looking at is one of the two most accurate time and time again. This one is from the CMC, or the Canadian model, and we're also going to look at NavGem. Now, notice as it begins, you have Agatha coming ashore, downgraded, and we'll look at the timestamp, but reforming here in this area, skirting northern Cuba and going anywhere between southern Florida and central Florida, then headed out to the Atlantic. So keep in mind that any change in this high pressure area could force this thing closer to the East Coast, guys, as we go forward in time. Notice it's skirting the Carolinas here, and we do know that the patterns change every day. But this light orange, dark orange, and the red is always the controlling factor. If it slips out, then that's going to allow it to move more to the east faster. But already I would be paying attention to it all the way up the East Coast, guys, and it's going to move up through St. John's in that area and head out and probably bring some windy conditions to the UK. And this is the same model. I'm just zooming in with what's called the Caribbean model. What you're seeing again here is Agatha. Notice today's timestamp, May the 30th, in the bottom right corner. It's going to move across, and let's just advance it forward into the 30th. You can see Agatha sitting offshore, coming in. Skip this up into May 31st. It's already ashore. Will become more downgraded at that point. And then we see that pressure and that rotation moving into the looks like the Bay of Campeche. Go forward in time. There it's formed just starting to form off the Yucatan between the northeastern tip of the Yucatan and the western tip of Cuba. That is on June. That's June the 3rd. That's when it's going to start to get real here. But in the meantime, all of the areas you saw, especially the Yucatan, it's going to get a lot of heavy rain. And that's what we're seeing here. We'll move it forward. Timestamp is the same today, May 30th. And I'm going to let it move forward. Stays along here. Now we're in May 31st. You see it being torn apart by the land impact, re-emerging into the Bay of Campeche, and slamming back across the peninsula, or the Yucatan Peninsula, and is setting there on June the 2nd. Moving forward, notice it's going to reform over the same area of Florida. And again, the crosshairs of the two main models are now at the same point. What will always change is where that point is. It will either move further into the Gulf of Mexico, or this thing could slide further south, maybe cross the Keys and go over into the Bahamas. We'll just have to watch and see it. But they already, again, 40% chance, and that's a strong percentage for this far out. Now, regardless of what I'm doing, I'm going to keep an eye on this thing, even if I have to put something up from my cell phone, until we know exactly where this thing is going. We're watching it. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.